Hey, Fausto, it's good to see you. You know, I'm going to say if you ever want to know where the best Italian restaurants in New York are, you need to talk to Fausto because that's like you said, we always go to dinner, we always hang out in New York, and it's been a while, Fausto. We need to get together in New York and have a dinner.
It is. I know, and it's one of the great things that we always had fun when they talk when we always had the expos and stuff. That was like the only time we had a chance to meet. But you know what? It felt even if I see you, soon, it's like felt like yesterday, no matter how long it was. So it does feel like yesterday. But yeah, but let's anyway. Welcome for being here, and everyone's looking forward to hearing from you and the MetaStock platform.
Awesome. Well, I am just thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me. It's always great to be able to come out and talk to fellow traders about what's going on in the markets, what's happening. I love coming in and talking and participating in these, listening to the other speakers. Rick Sadler, who just finished, is an awesome presenter, understands the market so well. So, it's great to be able to get education wherever we can. And I'm just so thrilled that everybody's here to gather that information and learn from these different presenters because it really does give you so much. I just want to confirm that you can see my screen, that it looks like everything's good on my side. So definitely, if you have any questions during my presentation, feel free to ask. I do have the questions box over here on the side. I did kind of note that some people weren't seeing Rick's charts as he was going through. So definitely, if you're not seeing something, please alert me so I can stop and fix that and make sure that everybody's seeing what I'm talking about. So what I am actually going to be talking about today is trade identification. Trade identification is actually one of the toughest things to do out there. Well, I'll take that back. It's easy to find a trade, but it's hard to know if it's a good trade to take. And that's what I want to talk about. You can find trading signals all day long on different things, but cutting through the noise and identifying the best trade, well, that's the tough part. And that's what I want to talk about today. So that's what we're going to get into. As I go through, I mean, obviously I do need to just go through a quick disclaimer. I know you've heard disclaimers all day long, but they are important because they do talk about what the risks are in trading. So I'm just going to go through this really quick and then I'll jump right in. So in this presentation, I am instructing you on how to use MetaStock and its software. I'm not here to give you any buy or sell recommendations. I'm just here to show you how MetaStock works and what you can do with it. Any decisions you make based on the use of the software are your own. We don't promote or say that you should purchase any security. We're not endorsed for the purchase of any security. So nothing I say here should be construed as something you should go out and buy a particular security. We will be looking at stocks today, and later on I'll be asking for you to give me some stocks to look at. That's not yet, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. So the first thing I want to talk about is just a little bit of who we are. Fausto kind of talked a little bit about it, but we're a trading platform. We are analysis software. We've been doing this since 1982. So we're one of the software companies that's been around the longest because of we have such a robust platform. Our software is really designed to help traders find the best opportunities, test their strategies, and make sure they're finding the right ones. So we go back to 1982. We were purchased by Reuters. If you know who Reuters is, they're a news organization, and they bought us because they actually provided big banks, hedge funds, institutions, data. And those data and those hedge funds and institutions needed charting software. And we are the charting software that these big banks and hedge funds and institutions use and still use to this day. So we provide software to both retail traders and institutional traders. So we've had a long history. We've separated out from Thomson Reuters back in 2013, so we could focus on mainly the retail investor and help them, but we still do provide institutional software. So that's just a quick introduction to us. We've also won the Reader's Choice from Stocks and Commodities magazine for over 30 years. So the readers of Stocks and Commodities have voted MetaStock the best technical analysis platform for 30 years in a row. That's a huge accomplishment. And this is the readers. This isn't us advertising or anything. This is the readers saying, hey, MetaStock is the best charting software out there. So that's something to keep in mind as we go through the presentation. So to start, what I want to talk a little bit about is the emotions of trading. And when we're trading, I think a lot of us actually want to feel like this. right? We want that excitement. Things are going well. Things are going right. I'm making great trades. Yeah, the market's going up today. Yes, I'm rallying. I'm making it. But what does that turn into? If things start to go against us a little bit, we start to feel like this, right? We start to feel angry. We start to feel like, hey, why is this going against me? What's happening here? And then we start to get into that depression after trading. And really what we want is that first one, right? We want this excitement every time we're trading. Now, is that going to happen every time? No. I mean, there are times that there's going to be a lot of times we're going to feel like this. And that's the challenge with trading is very emotional. And what we need to do is work on ways to take that emotion out of the trading. And that's what we want to focus on a lot. So I like to show this image. It's an image of a cockpit. It's not real. This is an AI generated image of a cockpit. But what I want to talk about is who sits in this cockpit. When you get on a plane, when you hop on, you're heading somewhere and you get in, the pilots are up front going through a checklist. And they have to go through a checklist and make sure everything on that checklist is just right. And if it's not, that's when things typically go wrong. Okay. I travel a lot, like Fausto said, I'm all over the world all the time, talking to traders, talking about MetaStock, what it does. And, I want my pilots going through that checklist. I want to make sure they were making sure everything's set to go. One of the funny things is it's funny. I actually really like a TV show that's called Airplane Disasters. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Airplane Disasters is a show that goes back and looks at what happens when there's a flight disaster. A plane crashes, investigators go in, and they try and figure out what's wrong. And I get asked a lot, why would you like that show if you travel a lot? Because it's showing crashes and things. Well, the reason why I like it is because the investigators go in and they try and piece together step by step what happened to cause that crash. And what they do is they can find out if it's a mechanical issue. And if it's a mechanical issue, they recommend guidance on how to fix that. And if it's not mechanical, it can come down to pilot error. And if it's pilot error, what they find is they often didn't go through their checklist, or they skipped things, or were lazy with their checklist. So if that can cause that kind of disaster in an airplane, it can also cause that kind of disaster in our trading. Having a checklist and making sure we're following our trading rules is absolutely key to making sure that we're successful traders. And that's a lot of what I'd like to focus on today. So what we're going to be talking about is trade identification, okay? Now, I say here in this first subject, how to find the best stocks to trade. Well, what I'm going to show you today can be used on stocks, it can be used on futures, it can be used on Forex, it can be used on crypto, whatever it is you trade. It's identifying the best trading opportunity based off of whatever you trade, okay? When I should get in and out of a trade, how to test your system before you spend your first trading dollar. Now, this is interesting and this is key to what happens when you're analyzing and looking at the best trading opportunities. And then finally, how to add some clarity to your trading decisions. Okay, so when we talk about things like indicators, what we're doing is we're talking about four main things. And those four main things are trending indicators, momentum indicators, volatility indicators, and volume indicators. So these are kind of our main four categories. If we look about just about any indicator, it's going to fall into one of those four groups. And if we talk about these things, I'd like to just give some examples of what these would be. So types of indicators, so we have trend, which would be moving averages or MACD, momentum, things like stochastic or RSI, volatility, things like Bollinger Band or average true range, and then we have volume. Well, volume's one, but we have on-balance volume, and then Chaikin money flow as some examples. Now, obviously, that's not all inclusive of every indicator out there, but these are some generic top examples of things that we look at. Now, we can take these, and you may have indicators that you specifically like. Maybe you're a trend trader. Maybe you're a momentum trader, and that's really how you like to focus, or you really like volatility and getting in short term and moving through that. So we're going to talk about different ways that you can take the indicators that you like, identify the best opportunities, and then find if they are going to be good trades. Okay. Now, when we talk about these indicators, where do you start? What's the best way to get started with these indicators? And if I look at a chart, so this is just a chart of Best Buy, okay? Now, if I'm looking at a chart of Best Buy here, I may go, well, what indicator should I actually use on this? There are periods where this is trending. This is a downward trend. We have some volatility here. Okay, we have got some momentum in here. We've got some volume spikes. Where do I start? As a trader, what's the big thing for me here? So what I want to do is I want to talk about ways that we can, one, let's say that you have a favorite indicator that you like to trade. I'd like to show you how to scan the market for that trade and then test it to see if it works well, okay? And then we're going to talk about how to find the best indicators to trade on a specific stock or future or whatever it may be. Okay, so these are the two workflows that we're going to go through today. Both of these have great qualities to them, and neither one's, specifically right or wrong, but we're going to go through these examples. So what I'm going to do is we're going to spend most of our time in software. We have a few more PowerPoint slides, but I want to talk about now how do I really identify those trading opportunities. And this is the fun part. PowerPoint's always like, okay, but now we get to analyze charts. I love, like what Rick was doing is actually doing some analysis and trying to figure things out. Let's do that now. So what I want to do is I want to take maybe a generic example to start us off here. Okay, so what I have the SPY up here. Let's bring on the MACD indicator. That's one that a lot of people are familiar with. And we'll do a quick overview of what the MACD is if you're not familiar with it, just to talk a little bit about it. Okay, so the MACD is based off of a combination of moving averages and then the difference between them. And what it does is it generates a buy and sell signal based off of the crossing of the signal line. Okay, so if I take this and I bring my line over here, you can see we have these lines cross here. So that would be a sell signal right there. We also have a buy. We actually don't have a crossing here. It got really close, but this would have been our last signal back here. Okay, now the challenge is actually knowing everything about every indicator, right? And this is what's kind of great about MetaStock. One, we have awesome help that you can look at in MetaStock. So if I right click on anything, I can go in and get help. It'll talk to me about interpretation, how it's all calculated. We can see tips on using the moving average. So there's a lot of great help in MetaStock. But it also gives you, there's also a great tool that if you don't know how to use something, you can use what's called our expert advisor. And the expert advisor does just what you'd think it would do there, is give you expert advice. So what I'm going to do is just pop open my expert here and look for the MACD, since that's what we're looking at. And if I put on MACD by MetaStock and click attach here, it will show me right on my chart those buy and sell signals. So there's that buy and there's that sell. So it'll actually just highlight them on the chart for me and tell me when to buy and sell, making it very, very easy. It'll also give me commentary. So it'll talk to me about how to actually trade the MACD when there is a signal. So you can see here, so the MACD can provide buy and sell indicators in three ways. We have signal line crossovers, which is what I talked about here. Okay, we also have overbought, oversold conditions and divergences. So this expert will highlight all those for me and tell me when one of those is happening. Really very cool. And then we have, it'll tell us what's happening. So currently the MACD is bearish. It crosses below a signal line. It crossed 8 periods ago back up here. It's since gone down 2.75%, and it's not in an overbought, oversold range, and there's been no divergences in the last 5 bars. So it'll really walk me through it. And if this is available for just about any indicator out there. So if I wanted RSI, there's an RSI expert. If I wanted the stochastic, there's a stochastic expert. If I wanted candlesticks, there's a candlestick expert that will tell you different candle patterns and what they mean right on their chart. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. But what I want to focus on now is actually getting into market scanning and identifying opportunities. So in MetaStock, we have what we call these power tools. So there's several power tools. One is charting, one is market scanning called Explore, and one is called System Tester. These are the three we're really going to focus on today. There's others that you can do, but I want to focus on just these three. And this tool right here, this Explorer, is actually my favorite tool in MetaStock. Because what it lets me do is pick any system that I want, any strategy, put it against any list of stocks in any time frame, depending on the version of MetaStock I have, and get buy opportunities. Okay, it's as simple as that. So I can say, hey, I want to look for the MACD, since that's what we were just showing an example for. If I put in MACD, it'll bring up everything that has MACD in it. So there's different derivatives of the MACD. So I want to use this expert system. So this will look for the buys, the sells, overbought, and oversold for me. So it'll highlight all of those. And then what I want to do in our example today, I'm going to put it against the S&P 500. So let's find the S&P 500 here. Okay, so here's the S&P 500. Now, MetaStock covers just about every market globally, so there's a lot of different lists in here. So here's my S&P 500. What I want to do is scan daily. Now, we have two different versions of MetaStock. There's MetaStock RT, which lets you do real-time or delayed 1 minute, 5 minute, 30 minute, any intraday time frame, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly. And that's what I'm using here. We also have what we call our daily charts version, which is daily and above, but our daily charts are delayed, so you can look at daily delayed information throughout the day on a daily chart. Okay, so I'm going to do a daily bar here. So we are still open on the market, so we're scanning today's data. Okay, so let's go ahead and start our exploration. And let me bring it over to the right screen here. It keeps going over there. So what it's doing now is it's going through that list of the S&P 500. Now, again, you can do any list you want. You can do all optionable stocks. You can do the whole NYSE, the whole NASDAQ, and the NASDAQ 100, or the major pairs, currencies. Anything is available to you in MetaStock. Okay, and you can see here we've rejected out about 87% of these stocks. And I'm going to sneeze, so I'm going to mute myself here really quick. Okay, well, you say you're going to sneeze and then you don't. That happens. Okay, so we rejected out 441 of these. So we have 62 opportunities right now. We rejected out 441. Now let's kind of look at this here. So I can come down here and rank on buy signal. So if I just double click here, you'll see this number 1 in here. So those are my buy opportunities. So I have 8 long opportunities. Do the same for sell. 14 sell opportunities. See 4 overbought. And then a lot of oversold. We have 36 oversold. So depending on how you like to trade, you can pick one of these methods and go and look at these stocks. Now, if I were to pull up, let's just pull up the first one here. Let's pull up Globe Life. So I just double click on it. Okay, so here's Globe Life. And this is triggering that MACD buy. Now I could put my MACD indicator on here. I could put on my expert advisor. And you can see that crossing here. But the challenge is here, and I'm just going to close this window and we'll just put on our expert just to see what it says at the moment. But okay, so there's our buy signal. But look at this, okay? We've had a buy, a sell, a buy. Okay, so maybe that sounds a little worrisome right now. Maybe we don't want to trade that type of stock. And the question is, we've got 62 opportunities. That's a lot of stocks to sit and go through and try and figure out which one is the right opportunity. I don't want to sit and look at 62 stocks and try and go through it and look at it and, oh, this has been trending, but has it worked over time? I don't know. And that's the kind of the questions we want to take out of our trading is, well, I don't know. I don't feel good about it. You get that, we start to get that emotion behind it again. And that's what we really want to avoid. So what we want to talk about for just a minute is backtesting. What is backtesting? Some people are very familiar with the concept. Some people aren't. If you've heard of backtesting, put a yes in the chat box. If you haven't, put a no in the chat box, just so I know kind of if you're familiar with it or not. But I'm going to talk just a little bit about it while we're going through it. I'm getting some yeses. Okay, great. Okay, yeah, a lot of people very familiar with backtesting. That's awesome. And if you're not, okay, couple of no's. All right, so let's Great. Okay. Yeah. Great. Thank you. Thank you for your responses. It really helps me to know what we're doing here. So let's just talk about it just a little bit then as an overview. So backtesting is a method of evaluating a strategy or model's performance by applying it to historical data. It's commonly used in finance to assess the viability of trading strategies. It's used by all level of traders from beginning to institutional. And I can vouch for this, okay? So I talk to retail traders every day. I talk to institutional traders every day. And I can tell you one of the things I get really from the big banks, hedge funds, institutions, those institutional traders, they love to backtest their strategies to make sure that they are viable. And it's a critical part of trading to understand if something has worked. And that's what backtesting is, okay? It's really designed to help us just say, well, does my system work? Has it worked historically? Is it something that I would feel confident in trading after I've looked at the performance results of it by building confidence, okay, and letting us manage our risk. There's a couple great things here on here. Improve confidence, manage risk, make informed decisions, and see if their trading strategy is strong or weak on that particular stock. One of the things I like to talk about with backtesting is if we were to go back and look at Globe Life here, okay, if I were to take Globe Life and just pull it out at different times, well, what's Globe Life doing right now? Well, it's trending right now, right? It's been volatile right here. Here it's been, we've got a lot of momentum downward here. So there's a lot of different things happening on Globe Life, right? When we look at stocks and we talk about stocks and we talk about trading, stocks really have personality. They really do, because if we talk about a stock that's trending, we want to put that with a system that trends, right? We want a trending indicator to trade it. If a stock is really volatile, well, I don't want to use a trending indicator to trade it. I want to use a momentum indicator. And what we can do with back testing is we can use this kind of personality test to see if the personality of our system matches the personality of the stock. And even if I go into Globe Life on a daily chart versus a 5-minute, well, hey, it could be a completely different game. 5-minute could be very volatile while the daily is trending. Okay, and it depends on the time frame that you're trading too. So that's really important to think about in your trading, making sure that you're finding the personality match. Okay, it's like Match.com for stocks, right? That's kind of what we're talking about here. Okay, and I like to highlight this improved confidence because it's really a big part of identifying that trade. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do our personality test and see if we can find which of those 62 stocks look like they would be the best opportunity based off of what we're doing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go back into my power tools and I'm going to go into my system tester here. So just about the majority here of people that answered are familiar with back testing, but it may be a little bit different in MetaStock from what you're familiar with. So I'd like to just kind of go through and show you a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the MACD. We'll just search for the MACD again here. And we'll do this expert system. Now, what I want to do is put it against those 62 stocks that matched my criteria. So in MetaStock, every time I run a scan, I can always go back and look at this last exploration result list. It automatically generates it and populates it for me. So these are all the stocks that have that opportunity today. Now, when we're trading, and if I were to talk to each of you, now this is a question not to answer. If I were to talk to each of you, you're going to tell me that you have a different amount of money in your bank account. You're willing to risk a different amount in every trade. Your stop levels are going to be different. So every trader here is different from the other. You all have a different way of trading. So what you have to do is kind of tell the system tester a little bit about you so it can analyze it in the way that you trade, okay? So when I'm doing this, I have to tell it, well, I go long, I do longs only, I do shorts only, or I do both, okay? Very easy question to answer. We need to tell the system tester how long we want to look back for. So in this example, and what I usually like to use is about 5 years worth of trading data on a daily. So that's why I have 1250 in here. There's about 250 trading days in each trading year. and 1250 gets me about to that 5-year period, okay? Then I need to tell it what time frame I'm testing in. I'm testing in a daily. And then I just need to do some trade options here. And these are just some quick questions. And the big one we need to put in here is account. Now, account basically tells the system tester how much you're willing to risk in a trade and what you're willing to do. So there's a couple ways we can do it. We can do either percent of available equity, transaction cost, or number of units. So number of units would be saying, well, no matter the price of the stock, I'm always going to trade 100 shares or 10,000 shares or 1,000,000 shares, whatever it is. One share, you can put that in, okay? And it will trade just one share at a time. You could do transaction cost, which is just saying, okay, well, I'm only ever going to put $10,000 into a trade or $100,000 or $1,000,000, whatever that is. Or you could do percentage of available equity. And this is the one I usually show is percentage of available equity. But people like to do this different ways, and that's why there's these different models in here. So if I do percent of available equity, and let's just say I have $100,000 in my trading account, and then what you're doing here is saying what of that $100,000 you're willing to risk. So let's just say I'm going to put 20%. Now, would I ever recommend putting 20% of your money into any given trade? No, I would not. The reason why I'm using that as an example is because the math is easy for this presentation, okay? So if I have $100,000 and I'm risking 20% of it, I'm risking $20,000 in a trade. If my money goes up to $200,000, I am then still risking 20%, which would be $40,000. If it goes down to 50, I'd be risking $10,000, okay? So that just some easy math there. Okay, so here, if you are paying a commission to trade, you can put that in here. Now, we do default that to 0 because most people here in the US pay $0 for commission now. But international, there's still commissions on trades and things like that. And that's why we have that in here. You can also put if you trade on margin, if you make money on a money market account when you're out of a trade, if you want to account for that, you can put that into it as well. So there's a lot that you can put in here, okay? And then finally, this last one, and most of these are just, you're just never going to change it, but they're available if you do, okay? So realistic market prices under trade execution. Now, what in the world would realistic market prices mean in system testing? Well, what it means is, so let's say that I have one of global life here is giving a buy signal today. Okay. Typically what happens when we get a buy signal is we wait for the end of the bar and then wait for the confirmation on the next bar, if that's the way you trade. Okay, so that's what realistic market prices is doing, is saying, okay, you had a buy signal today, but I'm getting you in on the next bar. You can set this to say, no, get me in on the current bar because I do this midday and I want to see how it performs that way. You can change that. You can also say, well, wait till the next bar and buy on the high of the bar to make sure that it goes up above a certain price. You can do that. So you can be very flexible and customize with the system tester in the way you want it to get into a trade. Here we have slippage. Well, what's slippage? Well, slippage is basically what happens when you say you get a buy signal today, you put a market on open order for tomorrow, and let's say you don't get right in at the open. Maybe it slips 1%. Well, you can account for that 1% slippage, that loss as part of your trade. Okay, so you can account for all that. There's a lot of variables, a lot of things you can do with system testing. For me, I like to keep it very basic. I just leave this standard. I leave broker standard. The only thing I really play with here is the account settings and changing it to what I actually have in my trading account, what I'm willing to risk. Okay, so what this will now do is if I click OK, and then I start system test. Now that's a one-time thing. Once you'd set that, you don't have to go back and change that every time. It's just a one-time setting type of thing. Okay, so you're filling out your personality profile on Match.com. Let's go ahead and hit our system tester execution. It's going to go ahead and go through. And now what it's doing is it's taking every trade over 5 years on all 62 of those stocks. Okay, and it's already done. And let's see what we've got here. So I'm just going to maximize this a bit. And now what I have here is I have a representation of what my money looked like over time. So how did my money perform? What did it do? And this is what's so important about system testing. So if you take anything away, it's look at system testing and how it has performed historically, okay? So if I rank these stocks, I come down here and go to percent gain. Okay, so you can see here that Carnival Corporation over that 5-year period had a profit of $90,000 for 90% gain, 246 trades over that 5-year period. So this is something that says, okay, well, 246 trades over 5 years. Okay. It's kind of active, not, so 246 into 1250. So you can kind of do some math there and figure out, well, how often you're trading and say, is that too much for me? Is that about right? Kind of figure that out. We had 131 winning trades, 115 losers. Okay. Let's look at the next one here, Tesla. It had a 60% gain, 299 trades, 149 were winners, 150 were losers, but it was my second biggest trading wins. So what does that tell us? Well, when the MACD trades on Tesla, the wins are probably bigger and my losses are probably smaller. Okay, so that's kind of an interesting thing. Now, there's a lot of information, again, that you can get out of system testing. Some people like to analyze just about every aspect of system testing. I'm not one of those guys, okay? I like to look at a few quick things to make a decision, okay? I want to get to my trading quickly. I want to move on to the next thing, all right? So I'm going to show you kind of what I look at very quickly. So my average profit here was 1744. My highest profit was 9,600. My average loss was 1,200, and my highest loss was 57.90. Now, let me talk about one other thing that we haven't talked about with trading. And you guys have probably heard this all day long, and great, because I want to talk about it again, because it's important. I want to talk about stops. So when we're trading, obviously stops are a critical part of our trading, okay? When I just did this system test and it says, okay, your highest loss was $5,800. Am I, as a trader, really going to let it go that far? Would I let that kind of loss run? Now, what I didn't do, and what I haven't shown you, because we have training videos on how to do this setting, is how to set stops in the system tester. And you can absolutely set stops on the system tester. But what I like to do is I like to look at how the system stands on its own. How does the MACD perform overall on its own without me putting in stops and doing that? Because when I trade, yes, absolutely, I'm going to put in stops. Here I'm seeing how the system stands on its own. You are welcome to go in and put stops in and see how that changes the system test. Absolutely, that's not a problem. But I did want to highlight that I did not test with stops. This is just when it says buy, buy, when it says sell, sell, okay? That's all I did in this. But stops are critical in trading, and make sure that you are using stops to protect your money and your assets and your wins and stop those big losses, okay? Okay, so those are quick things I like to look at here. I like to look at this risk reward index, and all this number is it's saying how long it stayed above the equity line. So it was above its equity line 97% of the time. And we'll talk about the equity line in just a second here. But you can go through and you can look at when every order was placed, what it did with it, when it stopped out. You could look at position excursions and how it all worked out. Okay, I don't spend a lot of time in these tabs. What I like to look at is this bit of information right here. For me, system testing, this is what I want to see right here, is the equity line. What the equity line is? Well, the equity line is what my money has done over time trading this system on this stock, okay? It's not the stock's performance, it's what my money has done over time, okay? So if I had been trading this, I would have had that initial $100,000, and then here's my 5 years of data right here. So I can see how this would have traded over time. Okay, you can see this is actually pretty consistent. My money has gone up consistently and has worked pretty well across this stock. Okay, so if I were to look at this as a system tester, I would say, yeah, I mean, I kind of like this one. My only hesitation with it is the last year, maybe, the money growth on it's been kind of flat. Over the long term, it's been fairly consistent. So I could put a, yeah, maybe on this one. This one would be a maybe contender for me. Okay. Let's look at what that looks like with Tesla. Now look at Tesla. It's only spent 77% of its time above the equity line. So a little choppier maybe. So you can see back here, it had losses trading with the MACD. But what's it been doing recently? It's been performing really, really well on the MACD. Even in recent market, you can see the money growth has been on an upward trend following that consistency. So Tesla, and I will say, whenever I do these and whenever I test, Tesla typically comes up as a trending stock. It just has its trends in it. So this one would be something that I'd look at as well. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to United. Okay. This one's a little different. So we don't have that same typical consistency. Here we had a lot of drawdown. So the system at this time lost money. It wasn't performing very well. So we kind of look at this and go, maybe not. But the last few, probably months, 2-3 months, it's kind of recovered and it seems like it's trending again, the way it's trading. Okay, and we can just look at a couple. Now that one is a great equity line. Kind of smooth, consistent, upward trend there. I like the way that that one looks. Okay, so we're seeing some good trending stocks here. Let's maybe go down to the bottom one here and look at this equity line. So here we started with $100,000 and what's it done? It's consistently lost money. So if I look at NetApp, I think was the one that here was the bottom one. So NetApp didn't trade well using the MACD over the last 5 years. Now, if you're sitting down to trade and you have this option of, well, you could trade NetApp or you could trade Tesla, let's just say, which of the two are you probably going to trade based off of the MACD after learning that information? Well, okay, so historically, Tesla has performed very, very well, and it's been consistent trading with the MACD, whereas NetApp has consistently lost money using the MACD. Well, which one are you going to choose? Okay, and that's the point of system testing. Now, does that guarantee that the next trade is going to be a winner? Absolutely not. And that's where the disclaimers come in at the beginning, right? System testing is hindsight. Hindsight's 2020, right? I could say, yeah, Tesla's been trending. It's been doing awesome. Let's pull up Tesla here really quick and let's look at it. So if I come up to chart. Okay, let's put on our expert. Oh, put on the wrong MACD one there. There's, like I said, there's a couple in there. So we want this MACD by MetaStock. Okay, so this right now, actually, so it's in a sell, but it's also in an oversold range. And that's the signal on this one. It's in an oversold range. So that's the consideration there. So, obviously this one wasn't a buy. This one is in an oversold range, which is one of our criteria. So if you are trading based off of that method, would you take that trade here? And that's something for you to consider. Okay, so when I look at it, okay, have the past signals worked well? Well, they seem to have, and the system tester has confirmed that. So that's how you can use the system tester to help you identify opportunities, okay? So let's just take another quick example here. And what I want to do is, in just a moment, I want to do some system testing based off of stocks or futures or whatever it is that you have that you may want to look at which system might work best. So throw in some symbols into the chat, and in a moment, I'll take a look at those. But what I want to do now is just now that we've done that workflow, I want to show you how quick you can do that workflow. We've spent half an hour on it. Let's spend just 1 minute and find some trade opportunities based off of a strategy. So again, I just go to the Explorer. This time, let's do RSI. actually, we'll do this stochastic RSI. This is a mix of a stochastic and an RSI together. And then let's go down and let's do the S&P 500 again. Actually, let's uncheck this. I've got a couple selected, so let's do RSI again. Okay, so stochastic RSI again, S&P 500. So I'm just going to have it go through the S&P 500. Thanks for the symbols. I'll get to those in just a second. Okay, so we're doing the same thing. We're market scanning really quick through our list that we want. So this is the S&P 500 against the stochastic RSI. And if you don't know what stochastic RSI is, we've got a great expert advisor that'll walk you through it. Okay, so we've got quite a few. We've got 17 results here. So I'm not even going to open up a chart this time. I'm just going to go back over, go to my system tester, go to my last exploration results, and change my back test to stochastic RSI, leave everything else the same, and I'll do my system test, do my report. Okay, so I've got 5 there I can eliminate right now because they haven't done well. And let's go to our equity line. Okay, upward growth, okay. Maybe. Let's go to our next one here and let's look at B8. Okay, I would say no on that one. It's performed well over time, but it had all of its growth back in the past. And let's look at our third one. And there may be times where you go, oh, I don't like any of those because I may look, it's performed well, but not recently. So I want to throw that one out. And I don't know why my monitor with Zoom keeps cutting off the bottom there. So I'm sorry, I keep kind of zooming in and out there. Okay, let's go to pool. Okay, so these are ones that I would just say, I'm not interested. And that's okay in trading. It's okay to walk away from a trade. We don't want to say, hey, that was a trade, I need to take it. Well, no, we want good trades, right? And some people, it's funny because sometimes I'll hear, well, system testing doesn't work because I don't see any good examples here. Well, that's why system testing does work. It's eliminating the bad ones. It's the opposite. It's actually taking out what's bad. Okay, so that's how quickly you can do that workflow. It takes 1 minute. Scan, backtest, find an opportunity, and you're good to go. Now, let's talk about our second workflow here. Our second workflow, and why I asked for some symbols, is because what you can do is you can actually take a stock that you like or a future or whatever it is, and you can put it against a bunch of strategies to see what strategy works best on it. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now. So let's take the first example here. So I have CCJ. Okay, I'm not familiar with this stock. It's a different one. So what I can do, there's built into MetaStock, there's 152 different tests there. I'm not going to run all of those. I'm just going to select some systems. I'm going to do what we call these performance systems in MetaStock. So these start with PS. It stands for performance systems. And these are all time-tested systems and strategies. The stochastic RSI was one of them. And you can take these or any system that you want and test, okay? So I'm just going to select all 84 of these systems. It looks like I have the Ichimoku in there as well. We'll put that in. And I'll leave everything the same. And let's go ahead and run our test here. So it's running 84 tests against that one stock. Let's go ahead and look here. And this is what's great again about system testing. I'm being asked over in chat, does this work for the futures market? Absolutely. You can do everything that I'm doing on futures. You can have lists of futures that you can scan. You can backtest on futures. Actually, we have a couple of symbols, gold and crude, that was requested. So we can take a look at that here in just a second. So let's look at percent gain here. So you can see a number of these strategies didn't work. Now, again, it's not because, it's because the system is matching the personality of the stock, okay? So here on this one, what stock was this again? CCJ. Of the systems I tested, the PS pattern trading system number 1 was the most profitable, 47%, 152 trades, 92 winners, 60 losers. So it was more winners than losers. And let's just look at the equity line. Okay, pretty good looking equity line overall. Now, the only difference here between what I just did is if I go and pull up CCJ, and I put on the pattern trading system, let's put on the pattern trading systems expert. Okay, well, I'll just search for pattern. Okay, and I put that on the chart. Now, it may not, it was the best performing system, but it may not have a current signal to it because I'm just testing to see if the strategy works. So in this circumstance, you may be waiting for an opportunity to come in versus finding a current signal and then testing it. But if you have a favorite strategy and you want to find the stocks it works best on, this is the best way to do it. Okay. All right. So let's go back to our system tester. All right, let's do the same thing. Let's do it on a future here. We're going to do this on crude light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the continuous contract here. You could do it on any specific contract if you wanted to. So in MetaStock, to do the continuous contract, which is just the roll based off of expiration, is CLC1. You can roll on volume, like with a small v if you want to, or open interest if you want to roll that way. There's a lot of different ways to roll continuous contracts, but we'll just do the standard here. Now, there is one option you can change here. So let me just run my test, and then I'll go back and show you this result. Okay, so you can see we can test it based off of equity trades if we want to. So here, the relative momentum index was the best performing system using equity. Now, if you are trading a lot of futures, one of the things you may want to do in here is instead of equity, actually do a points only test, because it's trading based off of the points rather than the actual equity, which is a better way to test when you're trading futures. So if I do the same thing, we get kind of the same results, but we're trading based off of points here rather than the equity. So over that time, it was a 99.73 points, 30 trades, and I'll walk you through it that way. So that's an alternative way that you can do that. Let's see. Okay. GEV was one. It sounds like it's kind of a whipsaw stock is what we're saying in chat. So let's go back to system tester. Let's just GEV. Okay. Another stock I'm not really familiar with, but that's okay. Well, actually, so I did points there. I don't want to do points on an equity. I want to do equity on an equity. Let's do that again. It was GEV. Okay, let's view our report here. Okay, GEV. So you're saying it's kind of a whipsaw stock, 100 to 450 to 300 in 6 months. And the system that came up is PS cycle progression, which tells me, yeah, cycles, ups, downs. So that matches right with what you're telling me there is how the stock's been performing. Okay, let's look at the equity line. And hey, there's a great consistent upward equity line. So you can see how this can help you identify systems with the strategy and really pull in what's going on. It looks like I have time for just one or two quick more, and then we'll pop out. SITM was one. Let's see. Sorry, let's look that up here just to make sure. SITM, SITime. Okay. Okay, and this is what's great. So you can choose whichever workflow works better for you. If you want to find the system that works best, you can do that. If you want to first identify opportunities. Okay, so this one, we got the PS trading system number 1 again. So this came up on this stock. Let's see what that equity line looks like. Okay, so and this is something to consider when you're looking at an equity line. We have this again, this huge ramp up. We had a lot of drawdown, but in the last 2.5 years, it's been doing fairly consistent upward. So that's something to think about when you look at it. So let's look at this stock again. What stock did I choose here? SITM. And let's put on the cycle progression. Okay. So you can see it's a fast trading system. It doesn't stay in very long. So that's something that you should consider when you're looking at system testing and if what you want to do. Okay, so system testing is really, it's awesome because it can really just, again, let you determine if something has worked historically and give you that better odds of success. It's not 100%, nothing is in trading again, but if you can build confidence in your trading, if I go back to my PowerPoint here for just a moment. Okay, again, this one right here, improve confidence. If we can talk about anything in trading and improving confidence, because how often have you looked at a chart and gone, okay, those indicators are setting up. Is this the right thing to buy? And if we can help take some of that angst out of it by improving confidence, okay, the trade could still go against you, and that's where stops and protection come in. And that's what you need to be aware of. But improving confidence in your trading and making informed decisions is absolutely huge in trading. So let's go and talk about how you can try MetaStock. Looks like I'm just right on time there. So again, MetaStock has been the winner for Stocks and Commodities Reader's Choice Award for the last 30 years, and you can see why. I mean, there's so much to MetaStock. There's amazing charts, there's amazing market scanning, and that is market scanning is one of the things that people love most about MetaStock, because you can actually even write your own scans. If there's something specific you want to look for, you can let it go through and scan the market for you based on what criteria you want. You can combine things together. If you want a MACD and a moving average cross, you can combine that together and do it. So it can filter for you. It can even look for stocks in certain price ranges. There's all kinds of things that you can do with it. Okay. How much does MetaStock cost? So again, I alluded to the two different versions of MetaStock. So there's MetaStock DC, which stands for daily charts, which lets you look at daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, all those time frames. But it does it in a way that you can look at delayed information on the daily bar. So you can look at, if I was looking at basically everything I did today on the daily chart, you can do that with our end of day product. It runs $74.95 a month. That includes stock data, futures data, index data, minus some exchange fees, but typically most markets are included in that. And it's $74.95 a month. That includes everything around the globe. That's just not US markets, that's Australian markets, that's the Asian markets. So whatever markets you want to analyze and do what I've just done on, you can do it. So futures, Forex, whatever, okay? $74.95 a month. If you want to do it real time, it's $265 a month. That includes MetaStock plus a product that we call Zenith, which gives you real-time news from Reuters, analysts data, all kinds of additional data to go along with it, the fundamentals, all that as well. So $265 a month plus any exchange fees if you want them real time. We also do something here that we call white glove service. So once you get set up with MetaStock, we will actually call you, help you get MetaStock set up. Our techs will spend 5 minutes with you if you want, helping you get set up. They'll spend 2 hours with you, showing you how MetaStock works, taking you through step by step how to do what you want to do. After that, we give you lifetime free unlimited support. So you can call our support staff anytime, talk to them, and it's always free. Okay. And our support rankings, we ask our customers after every interaction they have with support, how do we do? How is our support staff? And those rankings are typically between 95% and 100. And as the company president, I can't tell you how proud I am of that, to have that kind of level of trust and confidence from our customers, because it's, I mean, if you're not happy with our support, you're not happy with our product, you're not using it. So that's something I'm very, very proud of. And I'm proud of our support reps and how they handle our customers. They are an amazing group of people. And typically I can go into a room and say, hey, who in here has used MetaStock support? Tell me what you think of them. and I will always get grade marks. And if somebody here wants to say something about our MetaStock support, if you have MetaStock, love to hear it. We have a free YouTube channel that has unlimited access to all of our recorded trainings. We also give you when you get started with our trial, you get a free ebook called Unleash the Power of MetaStock that has hours of training with it. That's a $99 value. You get that. And what we're doing here today as part of the great event here is you can go to metastock.com/CTU and you can pay for the first month and get the second and third month for free. So if you were to pay, say, that daily chart version, $74.95, if you were to do that today, basically breaks down to $25 a month over the next 3 months and let you have full access to MetaStock, get all the training, get all of that. So they've posted the link in chat there. You can just click on that link, go to metastock.com/CTU. You can take advantage of that buy one, get two offer. You can also call us 800-882-3040. We've got a great sales staff. They're as good as our support staff to help answer questions, do screenshots. If there's a screenshot of a system test you'd like to see, just chat them and they'll get you a screenshot of what you'd like to see. Or you could actually even just chat with them. Go to metastock.com/sales chat, or you can even chat from metastock.com/CTU. That looks like is my time. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to Fausto. If there are any other questions, go ahead and go into metastock.com/sales chat. Tell them you're just watching the video with Kelly, and they'll be happy to answer any questions that you have about MetaStock, what it can do, and how it can help you in your trading. And the big thing I like to say at the end is, really, I wish you all successful trading. I hope it's a great thing for you. It's an amazing thing. It's a great way for people to make money and build themselves. So I really do wish you successful trading, and I hope MetaStock is part of that journey for you. So Fausto, back
Yeah,
over to you.
Kelly, thank you so much for being here. And that was awesome. And it's always nice to have you guys on. And yeah, definitely take them up on his offer. Listen, that we know them for many, many years, and they have a great software program, and definitely get that promotion with CTU. So thanks for having us. Thanks for coming, Kelly. And everyone else, if everyone just sticks around just for a couple of more moments. By the way, can everyone hear me okay? I want to see if everybody's wide awake. We got the markets closing less than 1 minute away. All right, let me because I want to good. Because I want to